Join ForumIAS Academy, trusted by thousands of toppers since last 12 years, including IAS Rank 1 Anudeep Durishetty, Shruti Sharma, and 𝐂𝐡𝐚𝐳𝐽.
So now, all of you, a few things I want you to keep in mind through the preparation journey. So we all will start from we all will have different starting points. Some of us may have studied a lot and come, some of us may not have studied a lot. Some of us may have good academic credentials from before. Some of us may not have studied in school. All right, and now is the time where some students start studying. And some students, they have studied so hard in their life, getting 9, 10 CGPA in 10, 12, that now they study less. So what you have done before does not matter. What you will do from right now in the next 1 year, in fact 18 months or something, is what will matter. So make sure that those 18 months are well spent. That is first. The second thing is, which all of you, because you are sitting in a place from these classrooms, dozens of students have gotten into top 100 ranks. This is not a place where hundreds of students are studying and nobody knows how an IAS looks like. This is not that place. All right, this is not a very mass coaching. This is a very, my teachers tell me that we have been able to build an academy where the cream students are coming. All right, so that's what I want to tell you here is, now what is needed in the next 18 months is that you will have to study the subjects you like as well as the subjects you don't like. Now when subject is as per as our interest, then it is easy to study and everybody will do it. But that is not what will differentiate the chaff and the grain. That is not what will weed out the good candidate and the bad candidate. The differentiator will be your ability to study the subjects that you don't like. And everybody will have some subjects which will not like. The minute we don't like a subject, what we have to do is we have to sit down and make notes. What is being done in the class. If you do that, then I will be sleeping peacefully knowing that he will give me a rank. But the problem will be when you say that I don't like this subject. Now, ability to succeed depending on doing things that, see, all our abilities to succeed in any walk of life will depend on doing the hard things. Isn't it? So for example, you will have friends who will have 6-pack abs. So the easy thing is to go and work out in the gym. The hard thing is the diet control for the 6-pack abs, if you read about it. So the hard thing is not the gym working, which a lot of people will do. The hard thing will be, yes, the diet and the kitchen. So you will see that all bodybuilders will say that bodies are built in the kitchen. They will say that it is not built in the, so that will be the difficult part. So a lot of people will be able to do the gym work, but not everybody will be able to put the kitchen work that is needed to support the gym work. So ability to succeed will depend on doing the hard things. And when the hard things will come, they are likely, success will always be a boring path. Means after all the reels and 𝐒𝐮𝐻𝐻𝐻 videos that you will see, those are the celebrations of success. In effect, people who were in this classroom last year who secured 42 second rank from your batch itself. So of course, right now after clearing it looks very good, but during the time it was all boring. And she just did one thing right. And that was, she made her notes very properly. So I was very assured that she will give us a rank. And now you will say, sir, I am also making notes. But that's not the game. The game is making every class notes. Means 60%, 50% classes all of us can do. 70%, it is about 100%. Anything less than that means that you are compromising. So make sure that you do subjects that you don't like also. Even if you are able to make notes, I will be rest assuring that you will clear this exam in the very first attempt if you have done that and you've internalized the notes. Third thing is, which is a problem that has only come recently. So what will happen is, let's say you're studying a concept. Now, you must have seen, you are living in a time of Insta and YouTube. I think Facebook was for the previous generation. So you were born in a time of Insta. I I did not understand what Insta was till a very long time. So what will happen is, for every topic there will be a video on the internet. Now what will happen is that you will see this exam and understand it very clearly. If there is a question coming, for example, El Nino or La Nina or anything, what you have to do is you have to write an answer. Knowing it is not enough. I repeat, knowing it is not enough. All right. So now what happens is, you will think that sir has dictated some notes and those notes are good, but on YouTube there is a video where there is a lot of graphics and videos and it has explained to me very, I will watch that. Now what happens is, once or twice doing that is useful, no problem. But slowly as a student what you will think is कि मैं YouTube से कर लूँगा. Now nothing against YouTube, but I'm talking about learning outcomes. See, as a coaching we are very clear that learning outcomes have to be very good. Which means that my student versus a person who's studying, doing GS Foundation in ForumIAS should be a strong candidate compared to any other student studying anywhere. That is my parameter for myself. And thankfully we get it. Thankfully we are able to get it every year, that our students are better than at the end of 1 year we are able to get it. Now the problem that sometimes we are facing, or sometimes I see some students doing it, is what they will do is, a simple topic is there, now they will watch YouTube. Now YouTube may, for example, let's say for example, sir, he explains things very beautifully. All of you have seen some videos. Now there are two Indias. So a lot of people will actually be having this feeling that sir teaches for UPSC. All right. Now what happens here is, you have to understand this, is that while you will understand everything, to write an answer you need a vocabulary. To write an answer you will need words. So what will happen is, if over a period of time you start doing something, you start watching such videos, and therefore now you have understood but you do not have the words to express it, and in the exam you will need words to express, because the examiner doesn't know you, he simply knows your words, and that is the reflection of your personality and your knowledge. So lot of times you will make this mistake. I have seen some students that they will think, sir isse jo hai na main YouTube se kar lunga. Now at the end of it, if they have understood something, but when they have to write an answer they will not be able to write it. So we become very old school that way, which means that what we believe is that if it is written in your copy and if you read it 3 to 5 times, the words will start flowing in your copy, in your answer booklets. So you will always have the seductive illusion of doing it from YouTube. In your generation it will be a big problem. You will think that मैं animation से कर लूँगा and we will do all those things. But in the end, this exam is about writing for 3 hours until your hands bleed. Right? So first time when people write the mains exam, यहाँ से थोड़ा सा है ना, a little blood also comes. It will affect a lot of students. Because if you write for 3 hours, then you will have a 2-hour break and then you have to write again for 3 hours. है ना? And most of the students, they try कि 5 minutes I should get extra so that I can finish one more answer. So the race is against time. So the game is very different. Again, I'm talking from selection perspective. I'm not talking from any other perspective. That when we are thinking of joining the Indian Administrative Service, the Indian Police Service, and the top services, the Indian Foreign Service, then that is what is required. So if at all you have any doubt, you follow what is done in the classroom and make notes in the classroom. Even in subjects where you don't enjoy it, you will be sorted. But the problem will be, for example, you don't enjoy science and tech because you have never studied it like that. And it may happen to some of us. Or you don't enjoy art and culture. Now when art and culture is there, you feel soporic, you feel sleepy. Right? Now those things will happen to some. In some subjects it will have. Some people will be very interested. So therefore, in that subject, if you survive it and if you make notes, then I know that you will deliver results in the end. But if you give in to the temptation that chodo class was, I will sit and I will read it from here. Now, so therefore that will be counterproductive. Next is, if you see any of the students who have cleared it in the very attempt. So what has been the difference between them versus the students who have cleared it maybe in the next attempt? One single difference is that they have been 100% people, which means that they have not missed a single class. They have not missed a single test. By which I mean to say is, I'm talking about the past 2 years at least. So I asked that how many classes she missed. She said, sir, I did not miss a single one. Then she called later and said, sir, have you heard something to the after her selection, where this question should not matter. She has no reasons to lie to me. But after later she said, sir, somebody, some TA or something has said something about me, or that I don't write the test or don't come for the class. I said, no. Before that, there is, I think she's posted in Jharkhand. Yesterday, I was seeing a picture of her with 55 rank from ForumIAS Academy. So they are all posted in the Indian Administrative Service in Jharkhand. So when I asked her at the end of the course that you were able to get Indian Administrative Service in the very first attempt, and I asked her that did you miss any class? So I was taking a feedback from her also. And then she also called after 2-3 days ki, sir, I have attended every single class. I mean, has somebody said something? I think I'll be the only student in your whole batch who has not missed a single test. One test I had missed, and that also I submitted it. It was not checked, but I submitted it. Only one test I remember I have missed it. And it was a long program. It was not easy to survive. And then also you are saying that. I said, no, I was not saying, I was not alleging. I wanted to know. So, bache, one correlation you have it. The sincerity that a lot of you may have had in school, and commitment to purpose, that will be very important. You follow the process, you will get a rank. You follow the process from this batch every single year. Even the first batch, when we had the smallest, today you are small cohorts are there, and now these cohorts will combine to form one batch. That is how it works here in Forum. But even when we had the smallest cohort, we had a lot of people getting selected because the initial batches were much more having faith. Also, the noise was much less that time. So right now you'll have a lot of distractions. So they followed programs to the hilt, and they have gotten good ranks. They have gotten proper Indian Administrative Service, IAS. So my expectation from you will be that what is being done, you do it very well, then everything will be taken care of. In your journey, one big challenge you will face is that instead of doing what is in front of you, you are worried about why. That is what will ruin your year-long plan. Don't make that mistake. I also want to tell you that please have a good, either you study, do self-study and be with yourself, set your own benchmarks, or have a good company of friends. This will be extremely important. When students come, they get selected in groups. I was just taking a small orientation in the next class, and I saw some group of students, 4 students, all 4 of them have appeared for the interview, and they are attending the current affair classes because after appearing for the interview, they are thinking, chalo, next year, we don't know what the result will, whatever be the case. But so what will happen is that the whole group will clear the exam, or the whole group will bring down the person. So either my expectation is that you study alone. Civil services preparation sometimes becomes a lonely journey, and you have good teachers, you have good mentors, you speak to them. Alright, Prabhat sir is here, and apart from that, some of you can drop by to me and see me as well with respect to any issues. So that is one way. And the other is you have a good peer group where there is a positive and creative competition among you. So if there is, it's not race to the bottom. Race to the bottom will be कि आज मैं test देने का नहीं सोच रहा हूँ, and he is influencing the other person also. Now the whole group will collapse. Whereas there should be some sort of positive competition. That how are you scoring? अच्छा क्या हुआ? What went wrong? इसमें तो ये हो सकता था, इसका आंसर तो पता था. This could have been the answer. So what you talk, the content of your talk will decide that next year where you will be positioned. Alright, so have a good peer group. Nothing matters as much as a good peer group. And you don't have to positively or consciously form a good peer group. But what I'd say is, you either prepare alone or you prepare with people who are equally competitive. But if you will join the company of people who are not as committed to preparation, then what will happen is they will say, I'm thinking of not going to the class. Then what will happen is he will also get influenced. Then he will say, I'm thinking of doing XYZ activity. You will also be influenced. With some friends you don't need enemies. है ना कि सर वो ऐसा दोस्त है कि उसके बाद उससे दोस्ती हो गई तो दुश्मन की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी. That should not be the case. Encourage your friends, motivate your friends, and follow the plan. That is what is there. Next, I also want to tell you is that there will be days where you will not be able to perform to your optimum levels. Which means that by design, you know that you want to give 100%. For example, let's say somebody is coming to your place today and you know that your studies will be affected. Now let us say you have ambitious plans of study that day. You have ambitious plans of studies या फिर रो पीट कर पढ़ाई हो रही है, कुछ दिन पढ़ने का सोचा है कि आज ये करना है, right? You decided to study 3-4 things. And what happens is that somebody is going to come. Now your plans will be ruined. Now what happens is that you know that you will not be able to study. So sometimes you will not be able to execute your plans 100%. But it is okay to still follow the plan if you are able to do 50%, 60%, 70%. That is very important. So if you know that today is not the day where you can give 100%, you are having a terrible headache, or somebody is going to come to your place, or parents are going to come, or some relatives are going to go, or something is going to go wrong. That day, if you can't do 100%, does not mean you will not do 70%. People who consistently do 70% beat people who do 200% on few days and 0% on the other days. That's what I have seen. So make sure that how much should you do every day? As much as you can. Even if you can't do 100%, does not mean you will not do 70%. All right. So make sure that you have a good journey in the pre-foundation classes, and then we'll have the foundation classes as well. You will, because we are studying humanities, so in humanities you have illusion of knowledge will be a very common problem, which means कि ये तो मुझे आता है ना, which will encourage you to miss a class and do something. I am telling you, this is the biggest problem that we as an academy face with students. So and when their preparation time sometimes gets elongated. You can clear this exam in one attempt. In the very first attempt, you can clear this exam. I'm not going to say easily, but I'm going to say it is relatively easier to clear this exam in first attempt than to clear it in large number of attempts. It is easier, but just that will require a lot of wise use of resources. And in humanities, what will happen is the minute you will know something, let us say there are 10 ideas that I have to give you. And when you hear the first 3, you will always have this feeling, I know this. But you still have to sit in the class because the last 3 will be new. And that will make all the difference. All right. So never ever, so this illusion of knowledge will immediately happen the minute you take up a book. And because humanities tends to open our minds. And for a lot of us, especially those who are coming from STEM backgrounds, a lot of these ideas will be very revolutionary, right? Computer science people, कुछ नई चीज़ें पता चल रही हैं और लग रहा था ये मुझे पहले क्यों नहीं बताया गया था, right? Ideas, socio-political ideologies, isn't it? Whatever is happening. So now you have to remember that you are only going through the tip of the iceberg. There is a lot more to know. Don't have low benchmarks of knowledge for yourself. Don't have very early satisfaction. That should not be there. All right. Anything you want to say or ask me or share with me? Chalo, wonderful. Huh? So as of now, we have not studied our targets, but what our expectation will be, that whatever printed material that you have been given, okay, if you have not given, you try to finish it. Also, the expectation will be that you may start going through PYQs slowly. Now, what will happen is that humanities is not without a learning curve, which means that unlike sciences, where there are 3 laws of Newton's and you know it, that end of the chapter is there. All right? Everybody has heard of the 3 laws of Newton. In humanities, things will be different. In humanities, what will happen is there will be 3 laws of Newton's and there will be 5 other hypotheses given by Newton, which have not become laws so far. And there will be Heisenberg's criticism of Newton. So what will happen is, mistakes that you are likely to make is that you are going to bring your science bias in humanities and say, I know the 3 laws of Newton. Now, why do I need to attend a lecture on Newton? And that's when you will miss out on things. And then you will realize that even on a question that write down the 3 laws of Newton, you have written the 3 laws, but the student who has written not just the 3 laws, but further hypothesis given by Newton and criticism by Heisenberg and Einstein's theory of relativity, right? He has written something and now your answer looks like a poor cousin. So therefore, make sure that you don't make the mistake of, assuming some of knowledge, a part of knowledge to be all of the knowledge. And this is one common mistake that STEM students will make. कि ये मुझे आता है. Note that a student who's coming here for upgrading his rank or service, and there are students who have come here getting some revenue service, then they have come to us and they've gotten IAS. Then there are also students who have gotten IAS, then resigned and come because they could not get a good cadre, and they are already married. Then they have written the exam again. They studied in the class here, and then they have gotten IAS home cadre. There are people like that. All right. So, so therefore, don't make such mistakes. Now, what expectation is that because we will start small, so you will be taking you right now. You will have a lot of energy, and the classes will be a little slow in the beginning. What is expected is that whatever reading material is given to you, right, you try to finish it, including over a period of time, PYQs, previous year questions. These are some of the things that you should finish off. Have you been given some PYQs as of now? You have not been given. All right. So it will be done, I think, at the end of your pre-foundation classes. You should be slowly be able to master them. By the end of a year, you should be, and that will be a gradual process. So one more thing, because you've asked one more thing, you will be bubbling with energy right now. So one more thing I would want to tell you, write it down, एक line लिख लो बस. Just write down one line, that do not overestimate what you can do in one day. Do not overestimate what you can do in one day, comma. Do not underestimate what you can achieve in 3 months. All right. So by this, what will happen is you will set very ambitious targets for yourself, and then expectations, whether you have it from others or we have it from ourselves, they are difficult to meet, including the expectations that we may have from ourselves. Sometimes it happens. आज सोचा कि न्यूज़पेपर भी करेंगे, क्लास भी करेंगे, and we'll do this also, and at the end of it we have probably only done half of those things. So what will happen is, never overestimate what can be done in one day, and over a period of 3 months you will achieve a lot. Be very patient. You will become a different person at the end of 3 months. Just at the end of pre-foundation, I can tell you that a lot of fundamental changes will happen in the ways you think and the things that you know and are aware of. All right. So I would stop short of giving any weekly targets, but what is there is, because everybody has a different learning curve, what will be expected is that you start solving previous year questions, or as the teachers may guide you, and start reading basic text, the printed material, because they have been summarized from the best sources and they have been compressed, especially for subjects, not for all subjects, but subjects which you have studied in school. That is something you can begin. But apart from that, I would say that you go slow, and yes, a healthy newspaper reading habit is very important. Are all of you reading the newspaper every day? It has to be done. That cannot be compromised. Yes. So if you're reading the Hindu newspaper, I can tell you that read the Nation page or the news page first, which is having the news. Then go to the op-ed page, opinion editorial page. You can read about anything that is concerning India and immediate neighbors, not Mexico. All right, India and immediate neighbors is what is in our syllabus. So you read about India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, all these, and our countries with which we have good bilateral relations, such as Europe, European nations, and US, China, Russia, not Latin America or something like that. So you read the thin editorial column, then there will be big essay-like opinions. You can choose to read at least one of them, and just one of them will also suffice. If it is making you tired, I am happy if you have exclusion errors in newspaper. What is an exclusion error? Which means that you have left reading something, I am satisfied. But if you are reading the newspaper, but you have exclusion errors, which means you have not read something which was a good article. Because at this stage, you will not be able to differentiate what is a good article and a bad one. It will only happen over a period of time. But if you have too many inclusion errors, which means that you have read too many articles and they are not relevant, then there is a problem, because then I know that you are feeding your mind with a lot of garbage. So what you can do is, you read only one op-ed and it's perfect, but you read the news and don't begin with the first page. because first page is likely to have political news. So you begin with the nation or news page, then you move to the op-ed, then economy. You don't have to read war reporting. Definitely not. This is a beginner mistake that you will make. So you have international page. Your concerns will always be in a news or nation page. International you may not need to read it, given that there will be something with respect to Gaza, and you are reading, only one question will come, which we will cover in our notes in the end. By all means, it will never be missed. That I can guarantee you. In international relations, some subjects will have 100% match. But what is happening is you are reading war reporting, and then you are filling. So you can skip fairly the international news. You only read about bilateral news, which means India, China, India, Israel, not Israel, but India, Israel. The minute you have India word there, all right, because then you will have something substantial. But if you're reading Israel, if you're reading Mexico, if you're reading Brazil, there's a problem. You are reading about their domestic politics, not relevant at all, not even 1% chance. And as I said, is always when it comes to newspaper reading, exclusion error is fine, inclusion error is problematic. Because what will happen is you will be ultimately exposed to these ideas through the long journey. Try to have 40-45 minutes or up to 50 minutes, never exceeding 1 hour of newspaper time. The reason is not that I have a problem with you reading more number of hours giving to newspaper. The reason is that I know that you have limited time and energy. So if you spend too much time reading the newspaper, you will compromise on something else, and then that will create a problem. Lastly, I have a strong recommendation to at least read one newspaper, the Hindu newspaper or whatever is the paper of your choice. Because as a teacher and mentor, I'm seeing you from the starting phase till when you will come for the interview or you will come for the mains exam and you will come for. So what happens is there, if you have had a healthy newspaper reading habit, then I know that. So you will say, sir, in current affairs classes and all those things, will you not cover? I will cover. But the problem will not be that. The problem is if you have a healthy reading habit, your reading comprehension will be better. In CSAT, I know I cannot train you for reading comprehension. That cannot be, it cannot be trained. That has to be, it cannot be just you do these 5 things and you will be able to answer an RC. It has to be developed over a period of time. And then there is another paper, General Studies Paper 4, which will have case studies. And sometimes those case studies are 1.5 pages long. So if you have not developed a healthy reading habit, then I know that we can ensure that all the issues that are asked in mains will be covered in the notes. But if you don't have a readable newspaper, then there you will have a problem. I'll ask, did you write the case studies? I said, and you will say, sir, I could not finish. I said, finish writing? You say, no, sir, finish reading it. This year the case studies were too long. Should not happen. So that is the significance of a healthy newspaper habit. All right, read less, but also consistency is important. So what you may have is that, sir, I'm not consistent. I'd want you to struggle with it and do your best. I don't want you to achieve a demigod status in consistency. That's not what I'm expecting. You struggle and let it be a daily struggle and develop some good habits. And through that struggle itself, you will clear this exam. But don't give up on the consistency. Because you can't read newspaper every day does not mean you will not read it 20 days in a month. So you may say, sir, I'm not consistent. I have hardly read the newspaper 15-20 days. I will say that is good enough. Remember, your newspaper is your anchor. What is an anchor? We all need anchors in life. Yes, exactly like a ship anchor. So if you are a salesman in a ship in the high seas and you want to have a good night's sleep, what is your biggest worry? You're not worried of the storm. If the storm comes, you will wake up. That's not your worry. What is your biggest worry in the high seas when you're a salesman? Yes. By the time you sleep and the next morning you wake up, you don't know where you will be. This will happen to you in your civil services preparation phase also. So which is why you need anchors, which means that you will see, you will learn how to go from A to B. All right. You will learn how to go from A to B. You have a plan that my A is reading the newspaper and B is going to the class. So after the newspaper, what I do, I leave for the class. Let's say you know this. But in real life, the journey will not be from A to B. You'll start from, let's say, here, and you have to go to A, and then from A to B. This is the day plan. In real life, you will, instead of A, you will end up at A1, at A2 and A3. And while you know how to go from A to B, you don't know how to go from A1 to B. Which is why a lot of times you will have trouble making this navigation. So you know that after reading the newspaper, I will probably solve XY. I will do X activity. And you are very set with that. And you will do it every day consistently. But the problem will be, after reading the newspaper, you are going to do X activity, but then a knock at the door happens. And now you have a friend come in and he has a 5-minute chat with you. Now you were at A. Now he has put you where? At A1, at A3, at A4. Agar you were sitting on your desk and you were reading the newspaper, after that, probably you had to do another activity. You were sorted. Now, after that conversation, mentally and physically, you will be at A1, A2, A3, not at A. And from there, you don't know how to go to B. And for example, take another example. You know that how to travel from your room to the classroom. A very simple task. So let's say, or the library to the classroom. So what you do is every day you go to the library, and from the library you travel to the classroom. Library is your L point. Now, on one day you have a friend coming in or something else, and you are not at L, you are at L1, L2, A3. And the class is supposed to begin at, let's say, 4 p.m. and it's already 4:10, and instead of the library you are at a T point. Now from there you will have trouble navigating to your classroom. Now you will have decision problems. Ab class jaye ya miss kar de, because it's too late. Which is why what I say is, on a larger scale, this creates much bigger problems. So which is why your newspaper is like your anchor. So the salesman who's in the high seas, before going to bed, he knows that if I don't put an anchor, I'll be anywhere in the ocean. I can see the coast, it is 10 nautical miles, and next morning I'll be 200 nautical miles away from the shore. So which is why what he will do is, he will put an anchor which will be something like this. It will go and attach itself in some rocks. So no matter the waves come and go, the ship will not go far away from the anchor point. So the next morning when the salesman, when he wakes up, he is still at the same point. So your newspapers are your anchor points. During this long preparation journey, you will lose your path multiple times. So your newspapers, your classes, which happen at fixed timings, no matter mentally where you are, you know that at 4 o'clock I have to be in my class. That's your strong anchor. No matter what you are doing, at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m., I should be at my study table reading my newspaper. That is your strong anchor. Don't loosen your anchors. All right? So that is why. Work very hard, and as you begin your journey, your purpose should be that when you look back at this phase of your life, you should be able to, you work so hard that you should be able to tell from far away in time that 2024 was the year I worked the hardest. 2024 was the year I worked the hardest. If you are able to say that to yourself, then you'll clear this exam. And lastly, this is the time where you have to cut off from a lot of noise, a lot of entertainment, a lot of edutainment, a lot of social media, and a lot of limelight of your friends and family. There will be people saying all good things to you, that go and hang out with friends, attend. But unfortunately, what I have seen is the harsh reality of the exam is that you really have to, I'm not going to say that you have to be in a depression or isolation, something like that, but you have to study. That will require certain gravity of the mood. You can't be dancing with joy and studying, unfortunately. You can't be, it's difficult. This mood switch is not easy. You have to generally be a little on the calmer side. You go exercise, do things, but after that you have to come back and study. So, in this year-long journey, it could be you will have your books as your best friend. You will have your books and your notes as your best friend. You may not have a very happening life. I would advise that once in a week you go out, meet friends, do enough masti that you have the guilt to study when you come back. But that masti cannot happen every day. It can happen only once in a week. You take one day off after writing your weekly test or whatever. You disappear for the day. You leave your room, you go to CP, Gurugram, Noida, wherever you want to go. One day you enjoy yourself. And so much enjoyment has to happen that you have enough guilt to study. यार बहुत मस्ती कर ली and I'm calling myself an IAS aspirant. That should happen. Alright. So follow these principles and try to do justice to the purpose that you have come for. And whenever in doubt, remember why you have decided to do this. No matter what somebody says, the Indian Administrative Service is the most prestigious service in our country. And it has unique opportunities to serve the people of this country. No other platform or opportunity exists elsewhere or in similar formats as this. When I meet my students, I feel, yesterday we had a student, she has secured 18th rank. She's from Kerala. So and in what happens is when you are a part of the IAS, you occupy leadership positions. And sometimes you're not ready for it. Why do you have to study so much? So much of polity. Then you'll have to study parts of moral philosophy, ethics, law, history, culture, society. Why do you have to study so much? Because broadly, most of you would be in your early 20s. And what will happen is the minute you clear this exam, you will suddenly be, let us say you are selected for the IPS. You know what is the beauty of this exam is that as a 25-year-old, you will be suddenly placed above a deputy superintendent of police who's 55 years old, as old as your parents, and you will be made a superintendent of police above him. And the state will expect that this whole studying of polity, political science, ethics, moral philosophy, law, constitution, society, history, art and culture will have given you the edge that you will make better and more mature decisions than a DSP. Right. We have a student right now in the FRC. So she was my student when she was 21 years old and she cleared the exam in the first attempt. She secured 199 rank. Now she is posted as so she went, I said, do you want to write the exam again? She got Indian Police Service. So she said, no sir, I studied very hard in my college. Now I have to enjoy. So she enjoyed for approximately 2020. Now this is 24. So now she has come back. She is posted as an additional superintendent of police. So she has come back. She's in the FRC right now. And so she cleared the exam. She was the youngest IPS officer in the country. And she does not like a lot of media attention. So you'll not find her anywhere. But she's the one because I'm saying this because the Union Public Service Commission did not allow her to appear for the interview because of age factor by one day. And she reached out, sir, I've appeared for my interview in my first attempt. She got a letter from the Bombay High Court injunction and then UPSC conducted her interview on the last day. So the last day of that year's interview, she came. I was not there that day, unfortunately. And then she got IPS. So now she has come back. In the FRC, she is there and now she is preparing to improve her rank. She is an additional SP. Now I said, what is the problem? You're not enjoying it? Like, sir, that is there, but I'm hardly 24 years old and my DSP, sir, they are all my subordinates. But they are all older than me and I feel that what have I ever done to be their boss? So what she has done is she has studied so much. So you will be in positions of leadership, position for responsibility, to achieve which it will take you 20-30 years through any other channel. Which is why you have to study so much. Which is why you have to become the person deserving of the position that will be given to you. This will require no less efforts than what you are putting right now. It will not happen. And you are at the right place. You are also at a good time. You are also going to have the best access to the best teachers, the best resources, the best material, the best test papers and the best content. Right? You are here. Make the best use of it. All right? make sure that you make good use of it, use your time wisely, use your resources wisely, and success will come to you. All right. Thank you, class.